the sport of pulling that the original California Super Pull World Finals are back to the Cow Palace. We haven't been here for 4 years, and I'll tell you what, it feels good to be back after 4 years, and I hope you enjoy the show. We take a look. He's got 4 engines on for the 7,200-pound class. I believe he'll be putting one more on a little later on, Ralph, when he comes out for the 9. Hold on to your hat, the first pull of the night.
Well, if you like that, San Francisco, we got plenty more to come at you all night long.
California Super Bowl, Don Finley, the Texas Bunny Farmer.
Well, while we wait for the measurement off the Texas Bunny Farmer. Here he comes, rolling out of the far tunner, the Dollar Devil, Pat Freels.
Dollar Devil from Kentucky.
Freels machine sponsored by West Express Trucking and Engel Cams. Harlan Sharp Rockers, Kendall Oil, the Holler Supply, all the way from Highland, Kentucky. The Dollar Devil waiting for the distance to come across. He's got to get 174 feet to take over the lead. Take a close look at the Captain Chaos machine of Jack Wheatley. Notice the layout of the 3 engines mounted up on this machine. Then we'll have you take a look at the General Chaos and see the difference, theories. And we'll see how the 2 tractors did. This machine actually out-pulling its sister last night. And of course, the General Chaos is a brand new toy of Jack Wheatley, so he's learning every time down the road. Jack Wheatley and Captain Chaos, 496 cubic inches of Chevy.
Oh my, something didn't work out for Mr. Wheatley here this evening. He had a good run last night, but tonight it didn't seem to want to hook up properly, Ralph. Shut down way shy of the dollar mark.
Looked like he really logged coming out of the gate there, John. He really couldn't get it up to speed, and then all the smoke pouring out when he got to the far end.
Look at the black smoke coming off of the tires. That's actual was down on the ground, and you've seen black rubber burn off the tires. That's a smoky burnout.
Here comes the head of the Mehling family with 575 cubic inches of Roden for horsepower. Fierce Enterprises and Falcon Constructions, sponsors of this 1936 Chevy. nicely prepared machine. We got any Chevy fans here with us tonight? How about Ford fans? Any Ford fans? How about Hemis? Where's all the Dodge and Hemi fans? 2 guys. All right. Well, Chevy fans, your chance to howl right here with this 1936 Chevy.
All right, rock and roll, Ron Mehling.
Oh, Mehling getting awful close to the out-of-bounds line. That front end dancing skyward.
Oh, hold your head up, Sheriff. Tail's too high. He's up and down out here like a bucking bronco. Front end jumped up in the air as he got down the track. Looked like the weight was a little bit off. Soon as the little Falconet Chevrolet engine started biting those CPEC tires into the ground, that front end just lifted right straight up on him, Ralph.
Well, he'll be looking to go over 172 feet 1 inch. That's what Shipman is setting the pace at.
California, welcome to Bob Gioletti, the Godfather!
Milkman in the land, Bob Gioletti. Take a look at how Gioletti's got his engines mounted. Everybody's searching for the proper technique. Which setup will work the best? Green lights are on for the Godfather.
Didn't work. He went for the whole shot, had all that extra weight on the front. Thought he'd be able to snatch it off the line and get that front end up in the air. But Ralph, it didn't work. The front wheels stayed glued to the ground and the tractor literally smoked the tires up.
Oh, now don't forget, he will get a chance to come back and steal away the unlimited title tonight, as he'll have to take the tractors into the back paddock area, add weight and/or motors. With Gioletti's case, he'll be adding motors to the machine.
It's got one fuel pump on one motor. It feeds 2 engines. It goes across, feeds the motor on the other side. Incredible piece of machinery. He won the class last night with a full pull. We'll see how he does tonight.
Engler and the Mission Impossible. One of the baddest pieces of machinery in the lab. All right, he's pulled the slack out of the chain. The green lights are on. Here he goes, Tim Engler and the Mission Impossible. Visors down, he's set to go. The run was going to get off to a bad start as he really had to work the machine out of the gate. Once he got it going, there was no stopping him. One more round of applause for the Mission Impossible. Tim Engler.
Ralph, do you remember what I was talking about earlier about a guy coming off the line and he tries to jump the tractor a couple of times? You can see him throttle it real quick a couple of times. What he's trying to do is rock those front wheels up into the air.
And now, here it comes, the Seismic Express and Ron Mehling.
Took home the 7th place last night. The competition seems to be a little more stout this evening. We'll see if he'll be able to step it up into that 7th place position, or perhaps even a little bit better.
Attention to what the rest of the competition was doing in the tractor class while he was running his two-wheel drive, and it seems to have paid off. Mehling with a good run in the Seismic Express. Not good enough to take the lead, but it should put him in the hunt for the top 5 placings right now. Coming out of each one of those Chevys. The national champion in 1989 in both the 7,200 and 9,200 pound classes.
And he's ran a different configuration. He's got 2 motors on the very front. Last night, he had 2 motors on the rear, 2 in the middle with 1 on top. Tonight, he's put 4 out in the very front and 1 in the back. Looking down, he's saying something is not acting right. He's looking him over. If you want to know what's going on, Dave Banter looked down. One of the motors wasn't acting right, and he reached over and shut it off. He just went from 5 engines to 4 engines on that tractor, Ralph.
Joe Gertie from Sprint Car fame, father building the engines on this machine.
He still's got something going on. I can hear it howling from here. One of the motors definitely not acting right.
Banter, a smart character. He'll take all the time he needs, make sure everything's hooked up right. And he can do it with 4 just as easily with 5. We got a green light on the sled, and here we go with the Banter brothers' first run of the night in the Bandit.
All right, the Bandit, Banter brothers, California, ready to rock and roll.
You saw it go flying through the air, the blower belt disintegrating off the front of one of the engines. Pieces of the belt laying right here on the lake closest to us.
Tell you why that happened. I mentioned earlier that David had to shut an engine off. The motor he shut off was on the right side, the second one of the 2, right in the middle on the right side. That's the motor he shut off. Now that motor cannot stop itself when he shuts it off. Well, wait a moment until David is out, we can hear. What Dave Banter did is he shut off a motor on the right side, right in the middle of the pack. Now, as we ready the track for the 2-wheel drive, our first tractor down the track for the evening, and now the young man from Southern California makes his way to the sled. All right, Don Finley, 173 feet, 11 inches. 173 feet 11 3/4 inches for Mr. Finley, the Texas Funny Farmer.
Fortier, out of Riverside, California, the 1939 Dodge, known as Aftershock. 540 cubic inch Hemi with Harwood. They had the same problem with this machine last time. Once they packed it into the tractor, the engine went dead and fired right back up, continued on with the pull. A little bit more fuel and we're set to go. With a 173, 11 3/4 on his first run, the option run. I believe he's going to stick with that. We haven't heard for sure. The green lights are up on the full sled. He gets a green flag, and anytime he wants to, he'll just mash the pedal. We're underway.
The only thing he's going to end up with will be your applause out here, folks. Aftershock gave it his best, disqualified.
Coming out of the other tunnel, gentleman who took it all away last time in the two-wheel drive division, John Shipman out of Turlock. Shipman with 1927 Ford Model T, known as Temporary Insanity. Sponsored by Nichols Automotive Products, Performance and Machine. John Lewis Painting and Century Ford Trucks. Shipman getting 1,500 horsepower out of the 622 cubic inch engine. Shipman we'll see back out here a little bit later on with his other machine, running 2 trucks here with us tonight. Gives an advantage to Shipman to come out and take one look at the track, make a run. Come back later on and make any adjustments you need. Take a look at all the weight that Shipman's got up on the front end of this machine. Temporary Insanity of John Shipman out of Turlock. 27 Model T.
All right, the Mad Dog getting ready to light her up. He came out tough last night. I believe he was number 1. He feels good. He's sitting down. He's got a green flag. He's looking to put the flags in the air.
Shipman right back in the thick of things tonight.
Oh, I hope to shout. That's what they want to do, Ralph. They want to take those checker racing flags and send them right straight towards the roof. When that engine gets underneath of them, the exhaust blows them straight up.
John Shipman out of Turlock with another great effort here tonight, and he'll be back again a little bit later on with his other machine. He'll be setting the tone for the field with a pull of 172 feet 1 inch. 172.1 is what everybody will be shooting for. The next of our 2-wheel drive pullers, a 1922 Ford. And what a beauty it is. It's known as the Dream Team. Out of Lodi with a 580 cubic inch Roden. Ted Rosen. Brackett's Garage in Lodi helping Rosen build this machine. The whole back body, everything behind the engine of the Dream Team lifts sky high hydraulically, and Rosen climbs in and then lowers it down over it. Rosen suffered a lot of problems last night in getting his machine backed into the gate, hooked up to the sled. I think he got a little frustrated last night after having so much trouble getting lined up that he ended up not having a very good run and went out of bounds.
Way out of bounds, Ralph. He took the oil pan off the bottom of the motor, slammed it down on the cement out there.
Tonight he gets lined up in one shot though, it looks like, John. So mentally he should be much better prepared, looking to make up for what happened last night. The Dream Team at 10 Rosen out of Lodi. Hooks into the thumb sled. Now there's a fall again. Fortier Rosen, I've never seen anybody have so much trouble getting lined up before.
He's got a problem getting it hooked up. The way the bars are on the back of this particular vehicle, it's got to be perfectly straight to the sled to get it hooked up. They're having a problem getting it lined up, and you can see, as well as the engine overheating, it looks as though the young man behind the wheel is beginning to overheat a little bit as well.
Well, you know, when you get one shot at it in a pull,
We've got Marty behind the wheel. I believe they've got Marty Rosen behind the wheel tonight.
We only get one shot at it. That's in the sport of pulling. Well, you get all your mental energies turned into that one run, and to come out and have trouble getting lined up like this really drains you. Makes it difficult to clear your head once you're hooked up and concentrate on what you're doing with the throttle and the brakes. Now he's in there, and the green lights are on. Here we go, the Dream Team. Lights ablaze. And again, they have troubles with the Dream Team. And it looks like they're going to go 0 for 2 here in the World Championships. The nice thing about the Dream Team, getting to watch it run as the cockpit is so visible, you can see them really working the pedals and battling with the machine down the full lane. Then his skeleton jumping over and helping to unhook him. We'll be set with our next tractor in just a second. Finally, the Dream Team shutting down. And he is disqualified going out of bounds. So 2 out of the 4 competitors so far in the two-wheel drive class having some problems. One is John Shipman, the gentleman that stole it all away last night, coming right back out, letting him know that he's going to punish them all weekend long with a pull of 172 feet 1 inch. Then, in our tractor class run, Challenger Body, a wanderer of George Greene. Is sponsored by Mogi Transmission, Joe's Paint and Body, the Upholsterers, Joe's Cigarette Papers, Sign Language, and a big special thanks to his son Doug, Dave, Mark, and Rick Garrett. 472 cubic inches of Chevy for the horsepower. Elish last night finishing 12th out of the 19 machines that ran in the two-wheel drive class. Body configuration is up to you in this class. If you want to go with the funny car style, that's fine. If you want to go with the pickup style, that's just as good. For the funny car drivers, it's a little bit harder to see when that front end goes sky high, so a lot of times you can peek out of the bottom of the car. Watch out, see if we can catch the white down. But it backs it hard to the sled to get unhooked.
I'll tell you, it's different out there. This is one of the, probably the only machine out here this evening that's actually running an automatic transmission. To put that load against the torque converter with a stall that'll work on it, tell you what, it goes down to a real tiny torque converter, a lot of stress on that automatic, and he seems to make it work, and he's campaigned to wonder extremely strong.
He was 157 feet 4 inches, 157.4. Put him in third. Here comes Dwayne Larson and Black Attack. Now Dwayne finished 9th last night in this machine. And his brother Dennis, who will be out here a little bit later, and a very similar looking machine with a different name known as Power Play, outpulled his brother to a 5th place finish. Take a look at how far Marson's knees come up into his chest as he's sitting in the cockpit. A big gentleman and not a lot of room inside the Black Attack. An absolutely beautifully prepared machine. The twin sister Power Play coming out a little bit later. The advantage for the Larson brothers is there were two identically prepared machines, and the two brothers doing the driving duties. After the one machine runs, the other brother can make any adjustments that he needs to do to his machine and hope for a better run as he did last night. 500 cubic inches of KV heavy. Green lights on the sled, the green flag, and here comes Dwayne Larson and Black Attack.
Oh, doing a job, Black Attack!
From up north, the Hardwood Hooker. Ted Greene with 636 cubic inches of Plus 429 Ford power plant. Tim Greene's Performance Center and Lee's Auto Refill, along with Harris Ford, Ted's Custom Upholstery, Dillis Transmission and Pennzoil, the sponsors of the Hardwood Hooker. A 1986 Ford Tempo funny car body. When it comes to making a funny car in the two-wheel drive pulling class, they actually had to take a regular funny car body and then lengthen it to fit the chassis. So funny car pullers are actually a little bit longer than a funny car you might see in an NHRA or IHRA event. Bodies come off a regular NHRA or IHRA funny car, brought to the shop, lengthened, and then put back onto the body. And Greene's going to have to remount himself to the sled.
They got a real problem hooking this machine up. It's got to be exactly straight. The young man from Washington has never pulled the sled from Michigan. There's a lot of distance between the two. It is, for the World Finals, what they call national rules on the hitch of the sled. What they're used to in Washington dictates a little bit different chain. Thus, the way the wheelie bar design is on the back of that, it won't allow it to get close enough to the sled to get that hook thrown into the big ring back there easily. That's all the problems they're fighting right now. They're trying to get it perfectly straight because that's the only way it's going to work. They can't do that, it's not going to work.
Well, as John said, you might think something simple as backing into a sled and having him hook it up would be an easy thing to do. But it's not. It can be very difficult, and it's also important, and you can see they're still having problems. Now, they didn't have this kind of a problem last night. The only machine that had troubles last night in getting hooked to the sled was the Dream Team. I don't really understand why all of a sudden the Hardwood Hooker has become such a problem with the bump sled.
The young man driving, that's his father back there now, Rob. We're not sure what the problem is, but his father is back there, and you know it's getting very intense because that engine, that big boss Ford, is building a tremendous amount of heat right now. He's building a tremendous amount of heat. You can see right now his father is going back there saying, let's see what we can do. Can we get it hooked up? My son's sitting in here melting in a fire suit. They've got a problem hooking him up.
Well, Teddy Greene having some serious problems, you can see. But the next are the two-wheel drive machines. T.J. Hooker and a 1935 Chevy body. 540 cubic inches of Chevy horsepower, sponsored by Unical. Producing somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,200 horsepower, coming all the way from Muellin, Wyoming.
Oh, I'll tell you what, good looking little ride. Looked like something you'd want to go out and cruise Main Street with, doesn't it? Beautiful little truck. We'd like to thank Western Traction. You see all these Ford truckers and the big Packer machines we have. Western Traction, the folks helping us out.
Miller, T.J. Hooker.
Pick-em-up truck down onto the ground. That looked violent.
Miller's T.J. Hooker coming in 150 feet 2 inches, 152, and a Chevy body pickup.
And I called that little beautiful little truck a Ford, that beautiful little Chevrolet. I'll tell you what, he had a good run going. Beautiful little machine, the front wheels up in the air, rolling, looking great. And Ralph, something let go on the drivetrain because he definitely, it's got enough brake as it is. He didn't need to slam it into the ground like that. He's got to be getting bad.
He came down hard on it, there's no doubt about it. How about one final round of applause for Jack Miller and T.J. Hooker. And we've got the next of our two-wheel machines rolling out onto the bowling lane at this time. Out of Custer, Washington, a machine known as Lobo. A 1970 GMC, 604 cubic inches of Roden. 1,400 horsepower at the controls of the gentleman known as Fred Schoker. Schoker backing the Lobo machine up to the sled. The GMC hooking up easily. Slides it up forward, pulls the slack out of the chain, gets the green lights and the green flag. Here we go. The gentleman out of Washington with a great blow. Brad Schoker and Lobo coming all the way from Custer, Washington. Making a run at John Shipman. Shipman set the pace at 172 feet 1 inches. 640 cubic inches of Ford power. 2,000 horsepower in this machine. Greer Hamilton, the California Blast. Now Hamilton has a telemetry system set up in his two-wheel drive puller. The telemetry system hooked into a computer. After the run, it gets a printout that tells him exactly what the engine was doing on the entire run. Greer was using the telemetry last night, so hopefully for him, he was able to make some adjustments and get better performance out of that machine tonight. Not exactly a lousy evening for Greer Hamilton last night. He finished 7th, well inside the top 10. But a little bit more can make a big difference in this class. Chasing John Shipman, you need every little bit of help you can get. check out the rig on the front window of the California Blast. Not much visibility. You can be sure that Greer will be peered out through the chassis as that front end of the Corvette goes sky high to the top of the arena. Here we go.
From the Sassy Massey. You said you thought it was metal. You were absolutely right. One of the exhaust pipes on the Sassy Massey literally blew off, and that's what hit the ground was an exhaust pipe. One of those round tubes, which is now a flat tube. It looks like a big boomerang laying out in the middle of the track area.
Notice the difference in the mounting of the engine. Even the front engine is higher than normal, but the two in the back sky high in Wheatley's face. The only tractor that we know of mounted with engines in this configuration. And he's working out the bugs, and this could be the configuration of the future. General Chaos.
Chevrolet engine, Jack Whitley, General Chaos.
One of the West Coast best, Mike Alvernaz, out of series, coming out with Nightmare.
All right, the manual on Mike Alvernaz machine from Trina Dairy. This vehicle has rock and rolled the Cow Palace for years.
Now when we move on to the unlimited class a little bit later on after intermission tonight, some of the entrants will come back with more engines mounted up to help increase the weight. Some of them will just add more weight to the tractors. And wait till you see where Alvernaz puts his weights. Here we go with a Nightmare on Mike Alvernaz. Well, the Series California native giving it a pretty good run. Backing up back hard into the slot and giving Dennis Scott the run for his money. He's got to get over 185 feet to take over the lead, and he's obviously going to come up short of that. JPI is mounted onto the Sassy Massey now. Later on, we'll see him with 6. He pulls the escape hatch down. Has to climb in through the back of the tractor to get himself strapped in. LZ pulling the slack out of the chain, getting his feet on the brakes, puts it in first forward gear, and away we go. Parts falling off the bottom of the machine.
It looked like a blower valve, Ralph. I think he might have pitched a blower valve off of one of those JP1s. We're not really sure. We'll have to take a look out on the track after we get the yellow bomb sled back to the start line.
getting over 1,000 horsepower out of each of the Chevy engines. Different configuration with the engines. Once again, this time the Bandit brothers in the Mr. Chevy. Dave doing the driving duties again. We expect to see a much different effort out of this machine with the engines mounted up with a different configuration. He knows what he did wrong last time, and you can be sure he won't make the same mistakes twice.
Now watch what I said for earlier. He'll try to do the whole shot. He'll roll the tractor out, and he'll crack that throttle a couple times to bounce those front wheels. That is not dust coming off of the wheels. That's actually black smoke that's coming off. There's a little bit of dust in there, but most of it is actually black smoke. These guys said when we do the World Finals, we want a track that stays together. We want the first man in a class to have as much of an advantage as the last man in the class has. And I'll tell you what, Gary Gioletti came in here with half the base ceiling and paving, and he put together a hard track. They said that's what they wanted, and that's what he gave them. When you see black smoke come off the tires, you know you've got some hard dirt underneath of that machine.
The next of our tractors. The next tractor to roll out onto the course coming out of Linwood, Washington. Linwood, Washington's Jim Greene in shotgun. Boss 429s, all aluminum blocks. 3 of them, 604 cubic inches out of each motor. Greene locked into the sled and the shotgun set to make its run. Giving it a pretty good effort, bouncing it all the way down the lane. Trying to get it to hold together as best he could. Unhooking him from the sled and waiting for the distance to come over. Well, we're set with the next of our tractors. Coming back from Muellin, Wyoming, in black Bart, Mr. Jack Miller. Miller with 2 512 cubic inch Chevys. The J.D. Skinner rear end, sponsored by Unical. Now remember, it's not the amount of engines you have on the tractor, it's whether or not you can get that horsepower to the ground. Black Bart just finishing outside the top 10 last night, and here we go.
Young man from Wyoming, definite underdog of the evening, only 2 motors against 5. I think he did a fine job, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello to Black Bart from Wyoming. Oh my goodness, we got the boys out here moving that equipment around, smoothing out the track, doing all sorts of things.
Each of the 5 engines on the Texas Money Farmer 510 cubic inch Roneck engines coming from Gainesville, Texas. Don Finley. The rear end of the Texas Money Farmer made by the Banter brothers, and he's set to go. 5 engines on the Texas Funny Farmer.
And I'll tell you what, it is soft on this side. He buried that rear tire all the way down to the lottery. The tire size on that is 30.532. A tire close to 6 feet high, and he buried it right down to the white lettering on the side. Mr. Don Finley, the Texas Funny Farmer.
Here he comes, California Bob Gioletti. Gioletti with 5 of the big 574 cubic inch Arius engines.
We're ready to rock and roll with the Godfather.
It looks like Gioletti's going to take the soft lane. John, something letting go on the Godfather, and he knew it.
Take a close look and count them down. 7 engines, Tim Engler, mission impossible.
Couldn't get another engine on that machine if he had to. 7 big Chevy set to go. And it looks like he's coming down the near lane. Green light on. Hang on to your seats. Mission impossible. The Banter Brothers evening started off lousy, but right now they sit on top of the unlimited class, looking to make it 2 for 2 of the division. Dave Banter and the Banter Brothers, Mr. Chevy. Francisco, Dave Banter just annihilating the competition.
That looks like a full pull. We're going to know in a minute, but it looks like a full pull for David Banter, Banter Brothers.
And we thank you all for coming to the Super Pull World Championship live from the Cow Palace in San Francisco, USA. Super Pull has been a John Borba production